Maybe you've said it as a joke, or maybe just venting, that you prefer animals to people. But what if I told you this isn't just a personal preference, but a silent symptom of cognitive burnout? Today we're going to dissect 8 revelations about people who like animals more than humans. And what you're about to hear isn't about the loyalty of your pets, but about your temporary inability to deal with the complexity and hypocrisy of human interaction. We'll get started in a second, but first, if this topic interests you, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Imagine the following scene. You spend your entire day walking on eggshells, reading between the lines, smiling at people you despise, and biting your tongue just to keep your job or your social status. You get home drained, and who greets you? A being that doesn't judge your outfit, doesn't question your salary, and doesn't demand you keep up a social mask. The relief you feel isn't just love, it's the ceasing of surveillance. You love your pets because, with them, you can drop your guard without the fear of being stabbed in the back. However, this dynamic hides a psychological pattern that few admit. We romanticize animal loyalty so we don't have to face our deep disappointment with humanity. I'm going to repeat this phrase because it might help change your behavior. We romanticize animal loyalty, so we don't have to face our deep disappointment with humanity. If you feel that people are exhausting, fake, and dangerous, you aren't wrong. But the way you re-dealing with it might be isolating you in a comfort bubble that prevents real growth. What I'm about to show you will explain why you feel so safe with those who don't speak, and so threatened by those who should understand you. Let's start by dissecting the first revelation. You hate wasting energy on BS. Your brain is a machine designed to save energy. And interacting with human beings is one of the most metabolically expensive activities there is. When you talk to another person, your brain isn't just listening to words. It's decoding tone of voice, reading facial microexpressions, calculating social hierarchy, anticipating threats, and filtering out sarcasm. It is massive, exhausting data processing. With an animal, this cognitive cost drops to almost zero. An animal is literal. If it wags its tail, it's joy. If it growls, it's a threat. There is no subtext, no passive aggressiveness, and no need to interpret silence. Your preference for pets often isn't about the purity of their souls, but about your brain's cognitive laziness in dealing with human ambiguity. You aren't just looking for love, you're looking for mental rest. This leads us directly to the second revelation. Human relationships require constant negotiation. You need to compromise, argue, convince, and often tolerate decisions you don't agree with. With your animal, you live in an absolute monarchy where you are the benevolent king. You decide when they eat, where they sleep, when they walk, and even when the affection ends. It's an extremely unbalanced power dynamic, but one that brings deep satisfaction to the ego. Feeling in total control of another living being, even if it's to care for them, fills a void of powerlessness you might feel in your job or your financial life. It is much easier to love someone who obeys or depends exclusively on you than to love someone who has the autonomy to leave you, criticize you, or disagree with your ideas. Now we need to face the third revelation, which is the validation of silence. Smart, frustrated people tend to be hypersensitive to criticism. The world out there is constantly pointing out what you don't have, what you haven't achieved, and where you failed. The animal, on the other hand, offers silent validation of your existence. They don't care if you didn't get promoted, if you drive a beater, or if you're overweight. To them, your presence is enough. This seems noble, but it hides a danger. By surrounding yourself only with beings that demand no evolution, you create a dangerous comfort zone where mediocrity is accepted and even celebrated. The animal validates who you are today, but the human is who challenges you to be who you could be tomorrow. The excessive comfort of this unconditional acceptance might be exactly the anchor keeping your life stagnant. This connects to the fourth revelation, the confusion between loyalty and dependency. We like to call animal behavior loyalty because it sounds like a high moral virtue. But biologically, what exists is survival dependency. The animal doesn't have the option to dislike you because you are the source of food and shelter. A human being, on the other hand, has the option to walk away. And that is exactly what terrifies us. Human loyalty is volatile because it is optional. Preferring animals is often an inability to deal with the reality that human love needs to be earned and re-earned every day, while animal love is guaranteed by biological necessity. I'm going to repeat this phrase because it might help change your behavior. You prefer animal loyalty because it doesn't require you to be interesting, just useful. This is a brutal distinction that most prefer to ignore to keep their self-image intact. The fifth revelation is that you sanctify animals. Here we enter the terrain of moral projection. It's very common to hear people saying that animals are angels and humans are a virus. This black and white view serves as a sophisticated defense mechanism. By dehumanizing people and sanctifying animals, you give yourself moral permission to withdraw from society. If humanity is rotten, then your isolation isn't a lack of social skills, but an act of ethical superiority. You convince yourself that you're alone because you're too good for this corrupted world, not because you struggle to establish complex connections. This narrative is seductive because it transforms your loneliness into a virtue, but it blocks any possibility of you learning to navigate the chaos of human relations, which is where money, opportunities, and real growth happen. The sixth revelation addresses emotional predictability. The human brain is a prediction machine. It hates negative surprises. Human beings are the biggest source of uncertainty in your environment. A coworker might smile today and betray you tomorrow. A partner might swear eternal love and ask for a divorce next month. This volatility generates chronic anxiety. The animal offers a stable behavioral pattern. Their behavior today will be identical to tomorrow's. This consistency lowers your cortisol levels and allows your nervous system to exit alert mode. The problem arises when you use the animal as a substitute, not a complement. By avoiding human unpredictability, you atrophy your emotional muscles for dealing with crises. You become fragile. Any small conflict with a boss or family member becomes unbearable, making you run back to your safe haven, reinforcing the cycle of avoidance. We arrive at the seventh revelation, which is the absence of social masks. In society, we are forced to perform. You need to perform competence, happiness, stability. This is exhausting. With a pet, you can be pathetic. You can cry, you can be weak, you can be in dirty sweatpants eating cold takeout. The animal doesn't judge your lack of composure. This space where social performance is unnecessary is vital for mental health. But it becomes a trap when it is the only space where you feel real. If you can only be yourself in the presence of a dog or cat, it indicates that your social life is an unsustainable lie. The relief you feel with them is the exact measure of the weight of the mask you carry out there. Instead of just thanking the animal for the comfort, you should be asking yourself why you built an external life so oppressive that it requires such a deep refuge. Finally, the eighth revelation deals with the transference of unresolved affection. Many people who were deeply wounded in past relationships, whether by narcissistic parents or abusive partners, transfer their capacity for bonding to animals because the risk of new rejection is zero. The animal becomes the vessel for all the love you have to give, but are afraid to invest in another person. This creates an imbalance where the animal is treated like a child, partner, or therapist. Although this seems harmless, it occupies the emotional space that could be filled by mature human connections. You crowd your emotional capacity with beings that don't speak, guaranteeing you'll never be hurt by words again, but also guaranteeing you'll never be understood by someone of your own species. It is a self-imposed emotional castration disguised as unconditional love. Now that we've dissected these 8 points, we need to make the necessary cognitive shift so that this video isn't just a mirror of your reality, but a tool for change. The goal here isn't to make you like your animals less. The love you feel for them is genuine and valuable. The problem isn't the affection for the pet. It's the function that this affection is playing in your life. You need to understand that using animal loyalty as a shield against human complexity has a brutal opportunity cost. Money, status, professional recognition, and legacy are social constructs. They can only be obtained through interaction with other human beings. Your dog isn't going to buy your product, your cat isn't going to promote you, and your horse isn't going to validate your doctoral thesis. While you take refuge in the safety of animal love, you are systematically withdrawing from the market where prosperity is negotiated. People who get rich and build relevance have learned to tolerate the discomfort of human relations. They accept hypocrisy, betrayal, and volatility as toll fees to get where they want. You, by refusing to pay this emotional toll, chose peace, but the bill came in the form of stagnation. The mental restructuring I propose isn't to leave here and try to force extroversion. It's to start observing your desire for isolation not as a personality preference, but as a defense mechanism that is overactivated. Next time you feel relief for bailing on plans with people to stay home with your animal, don't call it self-care. Call it by its real name, avoidance. Ask yourself what difficult conversation you are avoiding, what judgment you fear receiving, or what social performance you are tired of sustaining. By naming the fear, you take away its power. You need to start facing human interactions like hitting the gym. It's uncomfortable, causes micro tears in your patience, and requires recovery, but it's the only way to get strong. If you keep atrophying your social capacity and the comfort of animal love, a moment will come when you won't have the basic tools to navigate the world. You will become a stranger in your own species, capable of deciphering an animal's gaze, but illiterate when it comes to reading the intentions of a partner or a business associate. And here we reach the final point, the hardest to digest. Biology is ruthless. The life expectancy of your animals is a fraction of yours. Building your entire emotional support system on top of beings that will leave long before you is a guarantee of future collapse. When they are gone, the silence left in your house will be deafening if there are no human voices to fill it. The safe haven you built will become solitary confinement. Loving animals is one of life's most beautiful experiences, but using that love to replace human connection is, ultimately, an act of self-abandonment. Don't let the comfort of today cost you your capacity to be human tomorrow. Before we wrap up, I ask you to kindly drop a comment below saying if you liked or disliked the content and why. Your reflection helps other people reflect on the topic too. Take a moment to subscribe to the channel to keep receiving more content like this. See you in the next video.